Hey, you know what I want to talk about today? What I call the most important club in the bag, the driver.
So there's no better feeling knowing that when you wake up in the morning to go play golf, so that you're going to play well. There's no better feeling of hitting good golf shots down the fairway. Years ago, I was frustrated because I lost that. I was confused, I was frustrated, and then I met Moe Norman and learned the single plane swing. And so now I wake up every day and I know I'm going to hit it well, I know I'm going to play well, I know I'm going to have fun. So my mission today is to help as many people as possible wake up every day feeling good that they're going to go out there and play great because of the single plane swing.
Hey, welcome to the channel today. So why is the driver the most important club in the bag? Well, think about this for a second. You're playing a round of golf, and here's a pretty simple way to look at this. If you hit your driver badly, is golf fun? And you can say, well, maybe it's a little bit fun, but it sure is hard and frustrating when you're looking for your golf ball everywhere and trying to find it. And it's certainly hard to score well coming out of the trees or the rough or bunkers or even hitting in the water. So if you really think about it, golf is the most enjoyable when you drive the ball well and when you're hitting fairways and you have your approach shots, ability to get your approach shots on the green. The way Moe phrased this to me was he said, Todd, you got to give yourself a chance. You got to get the ball in play. And you know as well as I do that when you drive the golf ball well and you hit it in play and you're in the fairway, golf is so much more fun and you can shoot better scores. I want you to know though that I'm not a score guy. And I know it sounds crazy. People say, well, I'm shooting my best scores. Great. I love the fact that you're shooting great scores, but great scores are a product of something. They're a product of a good long game, a good approach game, a good wedge game, and a good short game. You have to have, golf's a game of a lot of things, right? So a lot of my conversations I have with you are really about the golf swing, and it's just a component to playing great golf. But I know that you're not gonna score your best if you're not hitting lots of fairways. So today I wanna talk about the driver. Now, I'm not gonna sit there and tell you that this conversation is about pounding the ball out there 300 yards. That's great too. There's a lot of strength elements to that. I don't hit the ball 300 yards. I average about 280, 285 off the tee. Of course, I've been able to hit it longer than that, but I don't play enough right now. I'm not as strong as I was when I was 15 years ago. So, hey, I love hitting the ball consistently down the middle of the fairway, and no matter how far I hit it, at least I'm giving myself a chance to hit a shot on the green, right? So let's talk about what it takes to be a consistent driver of the golf ball. I want to talk about consistency today. I want to talk about consistency. Now, here's the thing about it, and I'm going to run over my cart here in a minute and grab it, but I'm sitting out here, and the very first thing you're going to have to get right to become a great driver of the golf ball is ball position. Now, when we talk about ball position, I'm looking at the ball, and it's really hard for me when I stand here to know, is that the correct position or is that the correct position? And then I'm gonna have some tilt in my body too. It's very difficult for me to understand where that ball goes. So I'm gonna go grab my trainer here. So the reason I went and grabbed this is because the most important thing about driving the golf ball for me starts with ball position. And ball position, if you look at where it is, this ball needs to be positioned basically inside the lead foot in the instep or towards the heel. That's the first thing to ball striking. However, it's not the only thing. Ball position is a function of stance width. Notice that when I'm looking at the camera, you can see where my shoulder position is. Here's the kind of the science behind this is when I get to impact, this club's gonna line up with my arm, correct? This will determine how much effective angle I have either hitting down or hitting up. So where my shoulder is determines the club's trajectory into the ball. Now, how do I control that with my body? And again, I'm using the word consistency because I want to consistently hit the ball height correctly, spin rate correctly to maximize my distance to get that I hit out of this driver. Well, so this shoulder position matters. Well, it's not just foot position, it's also shoulder position. The way I control my shoulder position is with stance width. So now you'll notice that with my stance wider, notice my shoulder goes back. And now naturally from my address position, when I come down, you'll see the club now makes a proper motion trajectory into the ball. So it's the bottom of the swing is being determined by the tilt of my body, the width of my stance, and where the ball position is relative. So ball position isn't just where it is between my feet. It's stance width, it's body tilt, and it's alignment of the ball to the body. So check this out. So when I hit this, my ball's inside my lead foot. Notice that my head is already positioned behind the ball. People talk about head position, stay behind the ball. I'm already behind the ball, right? I don't have to stay behind it. I'm already positioned behind it because of my ball position and my foot position. And now it makes it very easy to launch the ball at the correct spin rates and angles because I'm in a position, I'm already there. I call these the proper conditions of the body. In other words, I didn't try to stay behind the ball. I didn't try to hit up on it. None of that is even a thought. It's occurring because of the natural positions I start in. So to me, becoming a great driver of the golf ball, it starts with ball position, tee height. You've got to get the ball in the proper height above the driver. So tee height matters. I have to have the proper ball position and stance width. Obviously my alignment matters. I actually would rather see you slightly with a staggered foot position. People call this closed. I don't like to call it closed. It's a radius we're swinging on. People tend to create ideas around where things should be, but I tend to like the radius of the feet to create a radius because it creates a flatter spot in the bottom. What I mean by that is if your feet are slightly this direction, your radius of your swing is moving this direction. If your body is in this direction, the radius moves this way. Because the golf swing's swinging in a circle, there's a bit of a radius to the arc all the time. And because the ball is very far forward to the shoulder, see how my shoulder's moving in a radius? See, it's moving in a circle? Well, there's a natural arc to this golf club. Well, if I try to square up to it, I'm fighting this arc all the time. So what I think, and you see this in Moe's stance, everybody says, well, he hits it left of his line. He's not hitting left of his line. He's in a radius. He's hitting it straight down the target line. And he never once, by the way, Moe Norman never once talked about foot position with me. He talked about width and he talked about club face angle at impact. He never said, oh, make sure your feet are square. That's something that Moe Norman never discussed, was your feet. And by the way, Hogan's the same thing. If you look at Hogan's chart, he's dealing with the radius as well. So I don't call it open and closed and square. It's just ball position versus radius of the feet. So in other words, these conventional things that you guys have learned out there, you have to rethink a lot of this stuff. I think that's going to help you a lot as you stop trying to, you watch all these YouTube videos and people teaching golf and they're using terms like square. Another one is the shoulders. So when I'm setting up, you'll notice that my shoulders, if I put a club or something in front of my shoulders, they actually point right of my target. People would call that a closed shoulder position. I don't call that closed. I call that the natural position of the arms in front of the body because the shoulders are attached to the arms. That's where they place. If you're trying to put your shoulders square to the target, you're putting your arms in a position that you're asking for a fight. You're saying, okay, my arms are here, but they're gonna naturally go there. And then you see rotations. Those of you who see rotations in the swing are because people are fighting arm position. The way I look at the golf swing a lot of times is that what position have you put yourself in that you're fighting yourself against, right? I see that a lot in just the way conventional golf is taught. Natural motion, hitting a driver, launching off a tee, put your body, get your tee height correct, get your stance width correct. I need a rotation of my foot because I'm hitting into a very solid lead leg, so I need to brace that, so I got a rotated foot. And now I create, obviously my single plane, you guys know all about that, and it makes it so easy for me to set up on the single plane and launch, because look where I'm gonna go at impact. I'm gonna be able to launch that golf ball. I'm behind it already. I can easily launch that into the air. Here we go. And so when I create these conditions of my body, I can hammer the golf ball directly straight every single time because I'm consistent. Now, I got off on a tangent there, but the goal of this video is consistency. And consistency comes from what? I always ask people this question: how can you be consistent in your ball striking? How can you be consistent on the golf course driving the golf ball if you're not consistently getting these positions correct? So I'll give you a couple tips. First thing is, I use training aids when I practice. Here's why. Now, obviously you can't use these on the course. Well, you can, it's just not legal, but you can't use it on the course. But what you're doing is you're consistently putting in you learn visually. Like I learn visually, and most people that I've studied learn from visual cues. So you learn what it feels like from this visual perspective where the ball is. It feels forward, right? It's up here near the foot. I'm tilted back, so I'm looking back here. So you learn visually. By training with the training aid, you're reinforcing your learning. You're learning to feel from that position, which is how we learn. So I never practice without this training aid, because when it's on the ground and I'm practicing, I'm reinforcing. Reinforcement is how you become consistent, right? So that's one of the things too. I see way too many people. I'm looking down the range here, and not one person has an alignment trainer out there. Not one person is working their ball position. And by the way, when the tour players come out and they practice, they all put down alignment trainers and ball position trainers. It's the number one thing they do, making sure they're consistently in the right position. Because I can tell you this, if I make a good swing with a bad ball position, the ball will fly offline. And I'll blame it on my swing, and it's not, it's ball position. So again, let me just kind of refresh this. How do you become great at driving the golf ball? You've got to get the ball position in the correct place. You got to get your stance width in the correct position that positions you behind the body. You have to learn to have the proper conditions of your body to impact all around the proper address position, tee height, and ball position. All right, I hope that helps you hit the driver better. Get consistent with it, practice the correct ball position, and I will see you in the next video. Give me a thumbs up, hit the bell icon. Thanks for joining me today.